What's up there, YouTubers? What are we doing? Come on, you got to answer. What are we doing?
We're taking apart this
bad boy. So we got some updates. We're gonna tear down the 5.3 for the S10 build, and we got Project Dave engine block back from the machine shop. Oh yeah!
Woohoo!
All right, so ran down to the machine shop. We use Center Auto Machine Shop in Stratford, if anybody's wondering. Brian, he's really good. His father used to do all of our motors back in the day, and then Brian took over the business, and Brian does all of our stuff now. So the little Project Dave 350 is now
here.
It's back home,
and it looks way different.
Yeah, totally. So we'll talk more about it once I get it inside, but everything came out great.
Oh, it looks way different.
Yeah, way different. It looks awesome.
Oh my god.
It almost looks brand new. That's how clean it got.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, he did a good job cleaning it. I mean, it's got, you know, obviously new cam bearings. It's all bored out 30 over. All new freeze out plug kit. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. We'll talk more about it once we get it inside. So I got the Project Dave 350, now 355, obviously. It's in the shop. The block looks awesome. Brian did a great job. I mean, it literally looks brand new. He baked it in the oven, got all the original paint off it, because actually this motor was completely original. He said nothing had ever been touched or done to it. So all new freeze out plug kit. He did a quick line bore just to make sure that it was square, which it is. He checked all the caps. Caps were good. Checked the block. The block was good. Block is now 30 thousandths over. That line is when he checks it with his bore gauge. So that's not a it's not a scratch actually. But yeah, as you can see, the block is nice. So really, it just needs to be put on the stand. It needs to be thoroughly cleaned, and then we can start reassembly with our Eagle rotating assembly. So now we're gonna just kind of gonna end up tearing down the 5.3, get that all set up, and tear it apart, see what we got. So, because from the outside it looks grimy, but from what I was told, it does not have crazy miles on it, and it ran fine before it was pulled out of the truck. So let's see. Stay tuned. So this project, Squints was extremely excited. He very much enjoys disassembling engines, really likes helping me in the garage, very much enjoys the YouTube videos. So he wanted to be a big part of it. Unfortunately, as you'll see in a few seconds, he had to go inside and have dinner because Mom was calling. So there he is saying, "See you later." I struggled a little with the valley cover. I explained a little bit after. But it was just because the knock sensors were rotted. So all in all, it came apart easy. All right, so I was struggling with the valley cover because of the knock sensors. They're a little rotted, and the seal was real rotted on here, so I couldn't get the valley cover off. This motor has high mileage, so we're really not sure what we're going to do with it. Definitely, either way, we're pulling it apart, and it's getting cleaned. I'm going to see what the guts look like, and we'll go from there. I mean, it's really not, doesn't look like it's in horrible shape, but you never know. So let's pull the heads off. I'll get the front balancer off. Oil pan, timing cover, all that crap. I really want to clean everything. If you've ever tried to pull a harmonic balancer off of an LS-styled engine, you'll understand my troubles. The bolt is glued in or Loctited in. Has like a sealer on it. So it was a little bit of a pain, but I eventually got it off. Used the special puller for the Chrysler and GM style. So all in all, I was nervous because I noticed all the dirt and grime on the outside of the engine. But as I started taking this motor apart, it really didn't look too bad. Everything had a normal oil varnish buildup. Your factory style rocker arms, they actually sit on a mount shaft. It's a rocker shaft insert. It's like a plate. And that plate basically just goes on the cylinder head like that. All your push rods go in. This is a factory hydraulic roller camshaft. So the rockers just get tightened down to a certain torque spec. That's it. So they're real simple, and you can actually use these stock rockers. If you replace the trunnion, they actually give you a kit you can buy through Comp. Cams offer it. A few other companies offer them already done. Upgraded rockers, but you really don't have to go to a traditional roller rocker until you get very aggressive with camshaft. Same with like push rods. In my motor, which is the 402 under the cover, that has a hydraulic roller. It's a very aggressive hydraulic roller, but because it's only a hydraulic roller, we just run a upgraded valve spring set, and the stock rockers were upgraded with trunnions, which is the bearing center, obviously, and then an upgraded push rod, just because of the lift, but it is still hydraulic. So that's what's nice about these motors. And if you didn't know, the cylinder heads are a 15-degree valve angle. So you're wondering if you've known before. 15-degree valve angle is the angle of the valve as the valve comes down. So as the valve's coming down towards the top of the piston, it is on a 15-degree angle towards the flat of the piston. So that is your valve angle. 23 is a little bit more, obviously. That's traditional small block. 15-degree. They make cylinder heads now. For your LS, you can do, I believe it's a 10-degree or 10.5 degree, but they're constantly upgrading to better stuff, and it's pretty impressive. So the more direct you can get a valve angle, so if you can get a valve angle to be a zero, basically a straight in, you would make more power technically, because your runner from the intake itself, which would be your head runner, for the air and fuel to go in, is more direct of an angle based on your valve angle. So if you're ever wondering valve angle, yes, it makes a huge difference. That's why these motors make so much more power and easily make more power than your traditional small block. A lot of guys will argue that traditional small block is still a great platform. I am all for traditional small block, but I'm just stating and just explaining why these motors are becoming so popular. Because strength of the block, 6-bolt main caps, the crankshaft is up inside the block. So if you're looking at your crankshaft, your block is here. So that's the bottom of the block. There's a lot more webbing going on here and a lot more reinforcement. Your crankshaft is way up inside. Traditional small block, your crankshaft sits down here. It's half in, half out. So you lose strength. So continuing on with disassembly, I was pulling spark plugs out because I still had the original spark plugs in the motor. After that, I noticed the sockets weren't fitting because there was so much sand and grime on top of the cylinder heads on the small bolts that are up top. So I decided it was the vacuum time. So I vacuumed all the sand, all the grime away from all the bolts so I could actually fit a socket on them and then continue pulling the cylinder heads off, or at least removing the bolts first and then getting the cylinder heads off. A lot of these motors, the plenum leaves an opening. So if you notice, I kind of jumped in the video. It's hard to see, but there's also somebody else that entered the video. They wash Yeah, thanks. Scared the bejesus out of me. Because he's going to start doing a little body work. So as I'm disassembling, he's going to be in the background doing body work. So got some things. Oh, and he brought some beef jerky. So very good. So yeah, let's get these cylinder heads off. So I just continued pulling bolts. Ronnie was doing some body work on the other side of the garage, making all kinds of noise and making a mess, of course, because he comes in like a hurricane. I jumped and got freaked out for a second when he screamed when he came in the garage. And if you were there, you'd probably jump too because he screamed so loud. That's what was real funny. I didn't catch any of it on video because I was doing a time lapse. But removing cylinder heads, real simple. You always want to work your way from outside in, and that's just the opposite of what your normal torque sequence would be, which is inside out. Anytime you're taking anything apart, that's how you want to do. You always want to do a reverse removal. Regardless if you're having a machine work done or whatever, you just want to do it correctly. Always get in the habit of doing it correctly. At this point, I noticed the motor was super clean. I mean, I explain everything after this, but I was very... So, hey, would you keep it down over there?
Shut up.
Keep it down. Making all that noise. This motor's actually really clean. You can see all the original cross hatches are still in the block. Let me grab my light. Where's my light? Where's my light at? Oh boy. Special guest again here. So as you look and see, cross hatches all in the cylinder wall still. See that? That's too much light. It's actually really clean. There's like no sludge. A little bit of like, you know, the normal, your carbon buildup. But I don't care about that. But look how nice the cylinder walls look. Really good. Look at that. See if I can get it. There we go. Oh my God, he's hammering. Looks good. So, awesome. So now we'll flip it upside down. We'll start disassembling the rest just to kind of see what's going on. I'm not going to pull the cam out of it yet. Eventually we will, though. I want to pull the pan and the timing cover and everything off. So, hang tight. So what you didn't see was the video footage that I tried to take while I took the camshaft out of the motor. Unfortunately, while Ronnie was there last night doing body work, we ran into an issue with one of the rear fenders, and he had to completely strip all old body filler and paint and primer off the fender, which created a hurricane of dust in the garage. So at that point, I hurried up, pulled the timing cover, pulled the oil pan, and pulled the camshaft and lifters and closed up shop for the night because I couldn't breathe. I had to put my respirator on. We were laughing. It was actually a good time. Ronnie's doing a huge favor for me. So I can't wait to show you guys what that car is going to look like.
Yeah.
All right, so if you watched real quick, we were using the stamps, number stamps, because this motor's never been apart. So basically what I do is I stamp. So as you can see, it's 1 and 1. So the cap and the rod, these are what they call, they're powdered metal. Some people call them fractured. Some people call them, what's the other term? I forget. But the rod itself is made as one piece, and then it's broken apart to create a cap. So you have a perfect fit with a it looks like it's broken. I'll show you when I get them off. So, what I usually do is bottom dead center, so that way you can push the rod through. We'll just go easy. You know, you don't need rod protectors or anything, as long as you just go easy. So this is day 2 after the hurricane had left and cleared out, aka Ronnie. So Squints was able to help. This was Saturday morning, actually. So Squints, my main man, as always, knew exactly what to do. was all about giving thumbs up to the camera for some reason. I think he's got some friends that may be watching the videos now, so I think that's kind of cool. He knows exactly what a rod cap is. He knows what the connecting rods are. He knows how to put them back together. He knows how I like to disassemble the engines, and I neatly put everything down on the table so that way we know exactly how it came apart. He always puts it in order like I told him originally, how I taught him. And he's just good like that. So it's great having him in the shop. I love having him help. So right here, we're just, taking the pistons out. Everything came apart great. I mean, you're going to see how amazingly clean the bearings and everything else that came out of this motor really is. I'm very impressed with this engine overall. So what do you think, Squints?
Good.
Good. So the motor is in amazing shape.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's a normal carbon buildup across the crank, but that's nothing. That's not a line or anything. As you can see, it rubs off. The crank looks great. The bearings look amazing.
Yeah, the bearings.
I mean,
They look
the bearings, they really have like absolutely no wear in them. The pistons obviously have a lot of carbon. The skirt wear, which is this side of the piston here, is normal. The cylinders are getting a little worn out, probably a little ovaled, but that's from your constant motion of your piston. As your piston goes up, it's always going to kick one way, and then as it comes down, it's going to kick the other way. So that's your, they call that lateral wear, or your lateral motion. So that's normal for a higher mileage type vehicle. But like I was saying before, these bearings look amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this is it's a cracked cap. When they build these, the rods are actually, this is a cast steel rod, and they cast it as one piece. So this starts out as one piece. They put it in a machine and it pops it apart. And what that does is it creates a fracture that is a perfect, if you can kind of look at it, it's hard to tell, but it almost looks like they're broken, and that's because they are, and they're not the same. So this cap cannot go on that rod. It has to stay with this rod because it's broken. So that actually creates a stronger part when they're put together, because it's seamless for the most part. That was the whole reason behind it. So, and they're made out of a powdered metal material when they make them. But everything looks really good. I mean, we might just clean all this up.
I'll put that back on.
So far, I think throw a little, maybe a little ball hone through the cylinders, because the cylinders look great. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, you can put that one back on. So we're going to pull the crank out. So as you can see here, when you're pulling the crankshaft out, you have main caps that have 6 bolts. You have 4 on top, and you have 2 bolts from each side on the block. Very strong, really cool setup. That was a setup that I believe Chrysler had for many years, and then Ford and GM adapted with their newer designs. I had to take the rear cover off, and it's also a housing for the rear main seal. And then that way you can get your number 5 main cap out of the way and the crank will come off. So really just side bolts and then top bolts. When loosening anything, like I said before, it's a reverse of what the torque sequence would be. So torque sequence is always from the center and work your way out. So if you're removing something, especially a crankshaft that you're going to reuse, you want to start from the outside. You want to work your way in. And that's really all I did. All the caps came off pretty easy. Your center cap on these motors also houses the thrust bearing. So that one's a little bit tougher to get out. So that I had to use a little bit of a pry bar and just kind of wiggle it and pop it out. But everything came apart fine. The bearings are great. Real happy with this motor overall. All right, Squints is pulling the, here, I'll help you. I have to get the screwdriver on that one. While he's doing that. So the block is actually, everything's really good shape. I mean, these bearings are like really nice. I'm very surprised. This is a high mileage motor. Excuse me. You could see the cam bearings have like a lot of varnish buildup on them. It could be a little bit of excessive wear, but I was just like this one I cleaned and it came off, but I'm thinking I might just throw a set of cam bearings in it. It's not a big deal. I think we'll throw a new set of bearings, even though the bearings are in great shape. Careful with that, bud. I'll help you. Don't worry. All your main caps, the thrust, even the thrust bearings, still in great shape. It's really not that bad. So yeah, I'm real happy with everything. So that is the 5.3 that we are going to be hopefully putting in the S10. I'm glad I found this motor, and I'm glad I found it with the intake, electronics, the computer, and everything. So we're hoping to do a very simple cleanup, reinstall bearings. I don't even know if I guess I could do bearings and rings. I'll re-ring it, bearings. I really didn't want to get too crazy with this motor because it's just a, like a nice little just hot rod cruiser that we're going to eventually sell. So that S10 will be for sale after we're done with it. So, but I appreciate everybody watching the videos. I wanted to give you a little bit more of a mechanical video today, doing some work instead of body work, because body work gets boring. So, right? Body work gets boring, yes. So, stay tuned. Got a whole lot coming. I got the Project Dave engine. We're going to be reassembling the short block, so I'll video that. That'll be a short little video. I won't do too much on that, but it'll be a nice little, almost like a tutorial on reassembly of a traditional small block. And I have everything here to do the short block. And then eventually, I'm not sure what we're going to do. We may end up raffling it off. I had a few people interested in it, so I don't really know, because we're not going to be using it for the S10. Obviously, we're using the 5.3 liter. Just put it right there, bud. And
that wasn't that hard.
it wasn't hard?
Well, I had to use a screwdriver.
Oh, okay. Good job. So, well, we'll see. So, appreciate everybody. Trying to get as much cool videos out there as possible. So, if you're into cars, I appreciate it. Like, share, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. But as always, thank you very much.